Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we're talking to the Dirk Kroll Band. Check it out. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I am talking to Dirk and Marcy from the Dirk Kroll Band. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I caught you guys earlier this year at Dave Roof's Funky Rivertown in Ypsi, and I just loved the music. I thought it was fantastic. I love the depth of your songs, the songwriting, and especially with the full ensemble, because you had horns, you had keyboards, guitar, bass. It was great, and I really loved the kind of I just want to say it's like storytelling music that I think of like from bands like Bruce Springsteen and Bob Seger, Tom Petty. It just had that native kind of storytelling. And so after seeing you guys, I was like, I got to get you on the show, and finally I've done it. So thank you guys so much for being on Fans with Bands.
Thanks for having us.
So I do want to talk about the new album, Your Flight, but before we get into that, I kind of want to understand, like, how did the Dirk Kroll Band begin? How did it form?
Oh boy, I don't know how far back in time I'm going to date myself. Probably modern days. It was 2015. We were living in Troy, and a couple of musicians we saw around town. I was playing with Skid Marks and Meredith Lord.
Okay.
At the time, and I don't even know how I would describe it. I was not writing to the band, but I really had worked out with another band that I didn't think was up to snuff in that, and I got an offer from a couple of guitar players, Mark Schwartz and Jeff Adams, and Mark Schneider. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And we got together and worked on some of my songs. We decided it was a go. We had fun. It was very exciting. And I got the first semblance of what was to be. And boy, to make a long story short, which is not like me.
Long-winded Dirk.
Yeah.
Feel free to expound as much as you want.
Later, and 5 or 6 incarnations in that were our 10-song album. Our fourth release since 2015 was about 3 months ago. And it's employed, and I've had tremendous help from a bunch of very talented people. And as happens with bands in that, the more talented your membership gets, the more involved they are with other projects.
Yeah.
And those bands would eventually spend their time, and I would move on to other forms of music I was doing. If you listen to my albums and that, it's very different from the more garage type rock to acoustic stuff. I got back to the more horns and rock and roll and what I was early into lately, this last release. And it's just where I'm at the time, and the people I'm so flattered down to my socks, the people, the incredible band people that come around and play and want to put their fingerprint on my ideas.
But you've written songs for a long time. You actually had quite a bit of the songs that are on our latest.
Oh, I knew we were going to go there. Yeah, back in 1955.
In the 90s, and you played a lot of the Hamtramck,
Lilies, and
but you were in bands that you were still performing your own original songs. You did the lyrics and the music on everything lately that is available.
We had a really bad signing with a label in the early 90s, A&M Records, and
it's a different story.
It's a different story. I don't know from but I was always into I'm a prolific reader, and my politics get into my music no matter what. And I write a lot of storied songs, which you said you heard what I do. And enough subject matter comes across my mind in a period of time where it turns into a song, something like that.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads into something I wanted to talk about. So, with your Flight, the new album that you have out, that it's like it's kind of a treasure chest of music. You got so many different types of stories, but then there's also different emotional qualities to that, different arrangements. The songwriting is really diverse. which I think is great. But it all has a kind of a central root in like kind of like what I consider just like rock and roll music. I was wondering, like, what are some of the the favorite tracks off of that album?
Well, I think what went over the least, what we liked the most, was Your Flock, the title song. And it was just an everyday. I was looking at everybody on the go, everybody trying to get someplace. It was metaphorical, but it wasn't too. It could be the home you're trying to get to and what home actually meant. And just the a bunch of bees in the beehive that are the workers, and they're on their way to something artistically, mechanically, business wise, whatever. And it was about that flight and what home meant.
Nice.
And that some of my songs are, they just come out and happen right away on their own, which is the nicest form. Other ones, I'll have a chorus. Don't ever write a chorus to a song first. It's hard to get back into verse and string together stuff. I'm not stuck. Probably what you said about diversing it from one song to another. It's usually a clean template, not my choosing. I'm not trying to be different from song to song. It just works out like that. Okay. I have a different story to tell.
One of your possible throwaway songs that Dave Roof, our producer, wanted to throw in there.
Madman?
No, Black Velvet Elvis.
Oh, yeah. I love that song.
We're not going to really put that on there, but it's a charming story.
My drummer, Paul Price, and Dave Roof, we're in the studio, and I'm like, I brought that up. I said, I don't know about this. I don't want to do this. And they said, oh, no, you have to do that one. It's a trailer park. This guy's wife worships at Elvis, and it's facetious as a song can be about what this guy would do to get rid of his wife's worship of Elvis.
Black Velvet Elvis, those paintings you used to find at gas stations.
No, that's actually an old song. And
so there's an altar of
the
Elvis.
Perfect Tommies was the band back then that was signed that horrible label. But he brought me a Black Velvet Elvis from one of those big gas stations, and that quite like Elvis. And he goes, "We should write an Elvis song." So that was my Elvis.
He resurrected it, and it got recorded.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that one because it's fun, and it's got the great horn section in there too. The sax, the sax solo is fantastic. Another one I really love is for a little while. Yeah, can you tell me about that song? Because I love the melody and the chords.
I had. That's an older song too. The band I was currently at the time, they used to make fun of me because I had this chorus and they loved it, but they go, "Hey," and the rest of that song, I go, "No," I don't know how long I did that, the length of the band. And finally, I was driving down St. John's Marsh on the way to Russell Island at a family retreat and that. And it just kind of came to me, the verse and everything else that went with the chorus. Finally, it was a couple of years after I had the chorus, but that's one of my favorite songs I wrote too. But it finally magically fell together. I had to wait, and if I would have forced it, and I never could anyhow, it wouldn't have happened like that.
So when somebody's listening to your album for the first time, do you have any hopes or expectations for them? Like, what would you want them to experience when they're listening to this album?
I want them to be millionaires and send me all this money.
That's a really, really
that is a good question. I don't mean to make fun of that.
No, it's funny though.
Quite often, and we have found that original music can be a challenge for some people, especially in our age group. They want to hear songs that they're familiar with, that they grew up with, but it takes a certain kind of patience to listen to a song. And most people will say it takes the second or third listen for them to really take it in and hear the words.
Marcy had the best line I ever heard. Everybody's favorite songs started out as originals.
As an original,
but there, I don't think there's the keener list or whatever the go around that gives you a repetition of playing happens nowadays. You're going to catch a song briefly. America's Mind, everybody's attention span too is pretty brief. So it's even more unlikely that you're going to be hearing a song several times in proximity, where you're going to actually take it in and weigh it some way. I've had people that I go, did you listen to the whatever? And no. And years later they go, oh, that song's a great. I said, well, you finally listen to it, you know. and I'm guilty of that
perceived
too.
Value.
Yeah, it's perceived value.
Yes.
And our age group too, and I hate to keep on doing this, is a comfort food.
Yeah.
My it's kind of blues, some jazzy, some country, British,
multi-genre. I would say. I mean, early Dawn.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Milo picked that as his favorite of the, different DJs have picked pretty much Early Dawn regularly.
Which is not a song we would have picked off the album.
No.
I'm flattered regardless.
Yeah.
I really like that song too. It's not one we would have picked to be the main song people liked.
But that's been a blind taste test from different sort of DJs.
Nice.
So you don't know what to expect, and it's always different than what you thought it might be.
Yeah. So you were, Dirk, you were talking a little bit earlier about like that, kind of the inspirations in the songwriting. What does inspire you as far as writing? Is it things that you're reading? Is it the events of the day? Is it, the weather today? Is it just how you're feeling?
It's no, I don't mean to be ambiguous and escape your question. There's a lot of different things that'll hold a moment for me. And when I get to that moment, I hate to quote Keith Richards, but he said, "It's all going by. It's just what you can grab." But it's something that stops you in time for something you related, and it's a ditty. I have a melody or a guitar riff in mind in that, and all of a sudden I stand by my lyrics. I don't have any Moon Spoon June lyrics. And I don't think about it too much. I know people that go, God, those are great lyrics. I go, and does he think about them? No, I don't think about them too much. The best lyrics come to me. And I can always tell when I'm doing a song if I have to make something work. Yeah. Remember the words, make something work. Those never do. I mean, it's stuff I read, it's politics, it's today. I don't write many first person songs. I guess one I had was about our older daughter, and it's called Song for Rochelle, and that was close to my heart. Addiction, everybody's addiction, but what she's been through, a lifetime of pain, and it just was probably the most, like I said, close to my heart. I could write a song.
Yeah.
And then I in the same moment, some of the stuff we're doing now, the old song I Can Give You Love, is the politics of love and money. And I'll leave it at that. You'd have to hear. Angry Girl too was a couple of people listening, they really liked. They said, well, who's angry? And I said, well, it's Marcy, but it's not. It's a spoof. Late at night, because she has to talk to, she has triage and she's a nurse, and late at night at 11 o'clock, I'm ready to go to sleep now, dear. And she's got a litany of
well, I deal with a lot of people throughout the day, and I'm not able to think my own thoughts. And by the time we get through the day and I have a moment of silence.
She's such an angry girl.
I'm not angry.
But she's not angry.
I just have
she's more on a bully pulpit, she's got
a bully pulpit?
Yeah.
Oh.
Teddy Roosevelt, bully pulpit.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, just kind of like getting the trauma of the day out of yourself, right?
Yeah, out of her system. Yeah. And that was a moment in time too. I remember the first time she heard it, and when I was doing the choruses for a vocal test up on stage, and then she stopped in mid conversation and looked at me like, what?
Then there's I Only Fall in Love. You'd never written a country type song before, but
I was an adjuster for farmers insurance, and I was in Memphis, Michigan. So I thought, I'll write a country song. It was this story I read about this poor guy that was crushed to the ground, and he's just coming back out again. He's just trying to live life again, maybe meet somebody. Yeah, but only problem is every time he goes out, he falls in love. That's awkward and good, but that's what that song's about. The middle eight is, I'd be okay if I never fell for you, but I'm all screwed up.
He just keeps setting himself up.
Yeah, late at night, lied in my face. I tell myself, hold on, I lie to myself. I tell myself I won't love no one else. Don't ever take no chances. You'll never win, and you'll only fall in love.
Yeah, that's another great song that I loved on that album as well. I when you were talking, I was thinking about like when you were talking about putting together the songs. Are you ever like, what is the catalyst for that song? Is it, are you working from the music first and then putting lyrics to it, or do you have a lyrical idea and you go, oh, I need to think, or I want to think of some music that goes with this lyrical idea?
That's a real tough one, and I have trouble answering that. Because it's pretty spontaneous. I'm going someplace right away.
Mm-hmm.
I horns and everything, and what I get this peripheral, almost like channeling in that of what's going on in the song, what I want about it, the character of it, I guess I would say.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll because I'm a bass player originally and singer, and I fronted a band doing guitar. I write some on piano, not much, but I would say it's kind of a when I say ditty, there's a riff,
right,
and I'm working on that. And sometimes more less of the time, I've got some lyrics going on, trying to do music to it, and that's tougher for me because I think the music directs me a lot more than the lyrics do sometimes, although my lyrics are the main thing about the song. It's
yeah,
kind of a dichotomy.
yeah. I would think, I mean, from the few songs that I've worked on myself, it always felt like it was the music, and I was kind of curious what was the driving factor. It always seemed like the music was the catalyst, and it gave you some kind of emotional feel, like a particular riff, and then you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, want to know what? That's probably more honest. So you're a writer too.
I used to. I don't write as much as I mean, I write a lot, but not music anymore. I so I used to play guitar in a heavy metal band like back in
Oh my gosh.
early 90s, and did that for like 6 years, and we recorded a couple albums and did that stuff, but I got kind of burned out from it, and so I still play, but not as much.
You don't impress me right now as that person.
That's like, really cool.
But I guess to be more honest and back to the let me be redundant for the last time. It's kind of a ditty thing, and when I had the country song in mind, I definitely was playing what I thought would be country chords or whatever, and that song just came to me almost instantaneously. Other stuff's a long ways away, and I keep it in my memory banks or something.
Madman. I mean, I remember we were around a little campfire
on the west side of the state,
and you just started playing something.
Well, it was another thing I read about extraterrestrials and madmen, and this guy, and it's just for madmen in places that they run people that believe that, and it's become a lot more mainstream now. The second verse in it it's just as dark as if it never ends. When they'll come and visit again, all your relatives are on their way. It's so relative where we all stay. Pretty abracadabra lyrics, but it's because I do have a fascination. It drives her crazy sometimes. I do have fascination. I think a lot of stuff's going to come to pass in our lifetime that's going to indicate a lot more of what we knew that hasn't come out yet.
Cool. I love it. Love it. So how did you guys get into music? When did you start like playing instruments and
I was 14 years old on an exquisite Martin ukulele.
Awesome.
Literally played it to death.
So what inspired you? What made you want to play music?
I'm down my basement in Royal Oak, and I'm listening to the Byrds and Buffalo Springfield, of course the Beatles and Stones in that too. But my dad was a singer on Anheuser-Busch Radio Hour.
Really?
He knew Bing Crosby, and my dad had a great voice. I guess he had a big radio chance that he chickened out of in the end. It was supposed to be nationally broadcast. Wow. But he was always singing this stuff around the house. I didn't know how good he was.
Yeah.
Just some rare tape. My sister and I have him later on. He was really good. I mean, Sinatra and that. So it was a musical family, and we did harmonies. We'd be driving up to the cottage, and we'd sing 3-part harmonies all the time, and it was just for fun.
Wow.
I mean, we're very musically, but I think when I was young and I heard Green Onions, I said, "Oh yeah, I want to do that."
Do you remember with the very first? And this is a question for both of you. What was the very first album that you bought with your own money?
Well, it was Eddie Cochran and what was it? God, I'm not going to come up with it right now.
Roy Orbison?
No, not Roy Orbison. No, it was really weird because my parents were separated for a while, and I came back to Michigan from California, which my dad considered destroyed me. And I had Eddie Cochran, and who was the guy that used to go across the San Francisco Bridge? A jazz player, horn player, sax player, famous guy. But anyhow, jazz album and Eddie Cochran, and my dad's looking at me because we didn't know each other, and he's going, "What happened to you?" You know. But I at my grandmother's house, I grew up in Laguna Beach till a certain age, and I had a turntable, and I played, you know, what they had there. And Eddie Cochran, I don't know how I got that. I think I got that in the Mexican garden, or I got. God, this is terrible. As soon as we aren't talking anymore, I'm going to kill him. I remember it, but it was a very avant-garde jazz player, and I listened to them, but I had no idea about music. And what captured me, I got into town, and my older brother, I didn't know that well anymore either, was Motown. I mean, he took me to Jackie Wilson concerts.
Oh, man.
We were the only white people in the audience. And it was so cool. My dad would have killed us if he knew. Swore me to secrecy.
I was a lot different than you. At 12, I had a Laura Nyro, a Yusuf Lateef, a Julian Bream, which was lute music, and Lost Poets.
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
So I had kind of a multi all over the place.
Talk about bohemian.
Yeah.
I was kind of like
she was, as children, we were pretty much out there and on our own with our families and what was going on around us. We were very isolated, and I wouldn't say chose to be, but we didn't fit in. My name's Dirk. I had to be a musician. And Marcy too. Her background is just fascinating. The stuff she
the music I like, but I had piano lessons as a child, but I never sang other than playing guitar and singing Joni Mitchell's songs to my babies to lull them to sleep.
Tasha Owens and Rachel.
But I was never a singer.
I had Tasha Owens and Rachel Williams for my backup singers, and I wrote a song for Tasha, and they went off into the stratosphere, whatever they're doing that. And I got another female voice now. I'm on the couch, and she's singing with me, and I looked at her, and she said, "No way."
Terrible stage fright, but my first time performing was
Hart Plaza.
Was at Hart Plaza.
Really?
At a big gig. It wasn't karaoke. It wasn't in the basement bar. It was there.
She thought she'd have stage fright that she never had.
Well, I think I'm just too old to give a damn.
No. She's not one of those fish-eyed people that goes someplace while she's singing. She definitely connects in that.
Well,
more so than I do.
Strictly backup, but I know your song so well.
Yeah, she just never.
And we're just sort of a yin and yang. It just works. It just works.
She had a good stage presence.
It's a good something. Yeah. Whatever.
But awesome.
One of my fantasies of sorts would be, you've got so many diverse songs. I wish that there were other bands and musicians that would consider doing your songs.
Oh, she told me about this lately.
Yeah. I like, for a little while I could see Jennifer Westwood and Dylan Duckfire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Swing would be fun if Ben Sharkey did that. He's like just a Sinatra type stuff. And Tasha Owens, already did that one song.
Yeah, this record play, yeah.
When you wrote the song for, piano and cello.
I didn't even plan it. I wrote the cello and the piano and everything, but I never played it.
She performed it. But
well, what about our friends, Ladyship?
They would be Your Flight.
Your Flight, yeah.
That. Oh my God, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun to exchange. We'd like to play some of their stuff and their choices and be in a mix where you could have other bands that you pick to do your stuff, or they have their choice of my stuff, and just exchange like that would be a lot of fun.
That would be really cool. You know how, because because they have that. I mean, sort of a play on this where they have that Detroit by Detroit. You know that.
Yes.
You know?
Love that. Yes.
But have it be more contemporary, where Band X isn't necessarily Jack White or the White Stripes or whatever. I
don't think we want to take them too much out of their normal, but but they can make their own.
Right. Yeah, something. Yeah, because obviously you guys aren't going to do death metal or something like that, So although
we can go through what?
Well, yeah. Well, although I was talking to and I saw because I don't know if you know Halloween from Detroit, the heavy metal band. Anyway, I was talking.
Oh, that's who I got a message from lately. That's who they are. Halloween.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Brian, he's the lead singer. I saw him doing an acoustic set at a museum, actually, and he took some songs that would typically be really heavy, but he stripped them down and made them acoustic songs, and it was a completely different song.
Okay, and it worked.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That is really cool. WDET, when they've had DET and Wayne State's.
Oh, yep.
They've had folks come in and do their acoustic versions of some of their songs. And
waste.
Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting, but that's a cool concept to see that sort of.
And I like it turned upside down like that, where you took a heavy metal person and acoustic it, and it worked.
Yeah.
It's what people might not have heard otherwise.
Right.
Well, what song Johnny Cash did?
That whole tribute album.
Was it Nirvana or what?
He did Nine Inch Nails.
Nine Inch Nails. I loved that.
I mean,
that was killer.
hate to say it, his version kind of topped.
It was amazing.
It did. It was
Tom Petty and I Won't Back Down. I mean,
yeah. That's
Rick
awesome.
Rubin, right? Producer,
I believe so. Yeah, and then it was Trent Reznor worked with him because that.
Yes.
Because that was he wrote the song, but yeah.
Now, how did they introduce that to him and he did that? That's wild.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, sort of like we've been talking about, where you're open to experimentation and trying to recontextualize those songs in a.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Reconceptualize.
Yeah. So.
Have the time to do it, though.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys could play, this is kind of like a fantasy question. If the Dirk Kroll band could be playing any stage anywhere in the world, where would you like that to be?
Red Rock Canyon.
Oh, all right, awesome. and who would you like to be on the bill with you?
Oh God, some local bands. I promote Detroit. Some of I can't name names because I'll leave somebody out, but there's several bands I would bring with me from Detroit if I was so lucky to have that situation. And
you like Elvis Costello.
Well, I'm older than him, so he followed me. No, but I mean, there's incredible talent in town here, and certain people I favor. And like I said, I'm not going to, because I'll leave somebody out. I would bring people from the hood. I guess I'd call it that.
Excellent.
And when I hood, because Detroit and Ann Arbor seem so segregated sometimes.
That's a thing. Yeah, it really is. Since we've known and loved David Roof, the Ann Arbor scenes, it's a different scene. You have your pocket of people that they all know each other, and
yeah,
the Johnny Speakeasy thing. Yeah. We've gotten to know some of them, but
well, I was thinking I need to get you. Get you ensconced with Steve Gerbach, because he runs. Him and John Mooneyham run the Manchester Underground Music and Art.
Oh yeah, that's how I know that name. Yeah, or heard that name.
Yeah, and so they put on shows at the River Racing Distillery in Manchester, and they've had Twist and Tarantulas was out there, Wilson Thicket,
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric Mark, he can do no wrong.
And I thought of you guys, I thought you would be perfect over there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'd be
Yes.
honored. Yeah. We have been in a 4-part and an 8-part band.
We did Dirk Kroll band light and then full throttle. Yeah.
Because it's like herding cats all together.
Well,
the bass player performs with
they're with fantastic other groups. They usually will set aside, if you're ahead of time with them, to play and do my project. But it's just how talented they are. Yeah. And I'm very, very fortunate that
they're all wonderful too. Yeah. Every one of them. They all
have a very happy band, as you probably saw at the river. So
well, they all have their own gifts and skills and humor and stories, and it's a rich package,
Yeah. Well, I definitely experienced that when I was watching you guys, because you definitely looked like everyone was having fun on stage, enjoying the music, and the crowd. I thought, really, I thought was great, and I think everybody else that was listening thought was really good.
That was a really neat format, and the sound, the people are doing the sound, just everything about it. It was very intimate and great sound.
Yeah. So I still like to kind of, it's just fun for me, to go back and see where people got some of their influences. What was the very first concert that both of you ever went to?
I saw Jimi Hendrix in '68.
Really? Awesome.
I asked my mom if I could go see Jimi Hendrix, and she didn't know who that was. And she kind of turned to me and said, "Sure, where's he live?" We snuck down there, and I don't know if the driver was old enough to drive, but we got down. It was it's before he really burned his guitars, Too Much Wah Wah or anything. He did the first 2 albums, and Bold as Love had not come out yet.
Oh, wow.
My Hendrix album, and he played a few songs, and people's literally their jaws dropped, and he taps the mic and he goes, "Y'all okay out there?" Finally rushed the stage and held their hands up, and he would touch people's hands, and just went through the rest of the album. And it was magical, just magical.
Wow.
Didn't your brother take you to the state fair?
Well, I saw Marvin Gaye the first time. Barry Gordy came up, introduced a new talent. I have a big hand for Marvin Gaye. He did I'm just stubborn kind of better. That was my Motown thing with my older brother.
Oh, awesome.
And me, I took, advantage of myself, what I saw, what I perceived. Yeah. Because I was at the Brandy Ballroom, and we'd see Rod Stewart, the Who, what a litany, like 3 bands in that. And I remember when they raised the price from $3.50 to $5, and we like howled about it. And Russ, I don't know if I can use the word, it's kind of a P-R-I-C-K. And it was, we were like young, not dumb hippies, but we were, it was like we'd load a car illegally with people and go down there and see the band and come home. And my father thought it was great. Brandy Ballroom was big bands, and they were dancing probably, weren't they? Not quite dead.
Really cool. Great stories.
Great stories. Really cool.
Yeah, my first, we had season tickets to the Detroit Symphony, but my father's first cousin was conductor of the Toronto Symphony. So we used to go to the symphony.
Oh, wow.
In Toronto. And I'm embarrassed to say what my first concert was.
What was it?
Well, it was really at the Fifth Dimension.
Oh, awesome.
Nothing wrong with that.
Was like
yes,
it's actually very fun. They have great costumes and everything.
How old were you?
It was like 10.
Okay. She came out way ahead of time.
Well,
she was way too young to be allowed such use that.
Then it was a regular to the Raven coffee shop that was in Southfield, and you wouldn't be familiar with that, I don't think.
No, I don't remember it.
Chuck and Joni Mitchell.
Chuck and Joni Mitchell and Odetta, and just mostly it was the folk singer set of things.
She was more folk singer.
I used to hitchhike and go to Mariposa, to the Mariposa Folk Festival in Toronto. I was really
God, was that a cool?
So I was kind of a folky. I made my own dulcimer, and
Oh, wow, cool.
I had a finger piano, and I'm dating myself.
I missed a lot of the folk stuff, and I'm sorry I did. Even like Dylan and obvious people,
yeah,
and that, and just what was going on in that neck of the musical woods. I was more of an electric guitar,
Yeah.
cream,
English rock.
English rock. I was a
Yeah.
Anglophile definitely when I was young.
Yeah. I think that happens to a lot of people where you, especially if you love music and you'd like to explore and like listen to different things, you may start somewhere, you know, at a particular age and you listen to that and then you don't really appreciate some things because I mean, I've told people this and they're kind of shocked. Like I did not like the Beatles at all when I was young, like when I was 15,
So what did you
16.
like? What
Hold on,
was your
I got a question from this. Why did you not like them?
I just couldn't get into the music. I just thought it was, uh,
saccharine?
yeah, and a lot of it, and I was also exposed to the really early stuff, you know. So she loves me, yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
I didn't
Right.
care for it. And then I really didn't know about, and I knew, you know, a couple tunes like, you know, Sergeant Pepper, um, but not really in depth into like Revolver and some of those songs that are on that album. And when you get into, you know, into Sergeant Pepper even, or, you know, Let It Be, or any of those other albums later in their calendar or catalog.
Mhm.
So for the longest time, I was like, I just don't, I can't get into this. Then
A bit of
somebody
a cult club.
brought in the you know, had the White Album, and I listened to that. I'm like, what is this? They go, oh, this is the Beatles. What?
Yeah,
So
well, that was great. It
yeah,
But
was.
it was your
Yeah.
epiphany when the Beatles meant something different all of a sudden. It's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
What were you listening to? What was
My
your
next question.
baseline?
Oh, where did I start?
What would you go to?
Uh, well, let's see. So my parents, so my mom obviously played guitar. Um, she was into um, kind of like older. Well, she used to teach guitar actually too, and she um, taught at a record store, and she worked at a record store on the east side of Detroit. And so she was very much into Hawaiian music and steel guitar, you know, pedal steel.
Wow,
God, it's fantastic.
that
And
is cool.
so we listened to a lot of that. My dad was from Virginia originally, so we listened to a lot of Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard, and
It's a
then
great mix.
It
That's a
sure
great
is.
mix.
yeah, and then you know, my mom liked Ray Price. I don't know if you know Ray Price.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
sure.
And Patsy Cline and that stuff. So that's, you know, that's what I listened to as a kid. And then
Great roots.
when I started listening to music, I got into Elton John, and that was my first album I bought, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Yes.
And
Cool.
then from there, I got into, then in sixth grade, we had this great social studies teacher who would let us bring in albums on Friday. And this is 1976, I think 75, 76. And it was when Kiss Alive came out. So I heard that, and that kind of spawned the whole like heavy metal thing and everything else after that.
It is cool.
I was huge into Kiss. I had like,
And for the life of me, understand that it was like, well,
Theater.
it was theater to the extreme. It
yeah.
was, you know, what star did you put your eye on?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm good. This has nothing to do with music for me.
Yeah.
Later on, there was a whole, that's another Americana story, how we redo ourselves over and over again. And the people that grew up with certain influences hung on to them and had their own reasons at the time that other people might not relate to because it was their moment.
Yeah. 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 So do you find that you're, I know you mentioned like that's, you know, some folks, and this is true across, it doesn't matter how old you are. There are certain people I feel that get stuck. I hate the word used stuck, but they either heard certain music when they were a kid and they stick with that and they don't want to change. So when you talked about like people want to hear covers as opposed to original music because they're familiar with, they're comfortable with it. But then
Tribute.
there's other people that are like open and willing to experiment and willing to try original music. I'm assuming that's how you guys feel, but you know, is that how you feel? And do you feel like that's true across the board, that people kind of get stuck in their thing. And
it's kind of an oasis in a desert situation. Sometimes people, friends of yours, in that they really aren't going to explore anything too different, or they've got an opinion right away about something you're writing that doesn't sound like something they might listen to. So they're not going to listen to it. The attention span, and music especially, you download everything to free, like 10 seconds note, 10 seconds, oh, maybe this one. Yeah. And it's all going by so quickly. It's hard to give something a chance. And I'm by the way, I'm guilty of that too. I've got how much time. I've missed some great stuff that I caught up with later on. I went, oh my gosh, I heard that and I didn't realize how wonderful it was.
Yeah.
But at the time, what's going on in life, how it's blowing by, and that it's just the time you have and don't have, and people don't have time anymore.
But you're open to original
music.
music.
Yeah, am I?
And
yeah.
So there's different landscapes.
As soon as I hear original, it's got my attention.
So there's different towns and there's different places that are more willing to hear. So we're going to play 2 very different venues in the next 2.
Oh, that's right.
Bolero, which is a bowling alley, listening room. And then this Friday, and after that, Trinity House.
Oh, now I've heard good things about Trinity House. Yeah, I've not been there yet.
Iconic place.
It's no alcohol. It's mostly acoustic oriented, and then
it's a real study in my storytelling, songs, the vocals,
There's no TVs on the wall.
No.
So there's no alcohol. So strictly a listening room as opposed to Bolero.
But people to listen to what a song is. It's very dedicated.
Right.
Yeah. So like the difference between probably going to the Blind Pig or going to the Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 2 different reasons.
Exactly.
Although I know I've been to both and wanted to listen to the music, but yeah, I'm always a little taken back when folks, I mean, I get it. You're out there to have fun, and the music's in the background, right? You're at the bar, the music's in the background. And I'm always shocked when people to me, it seems like this is the show. Like, you're here for the band. And it's like, why are you standing over by the bar chanting with so-and-so? And I don't know.
So it's not for everyone,
I guess.
Places where, I mean, we've gone. So we were just in Delray Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
And we popped into this little bar, and no one's listening.
Long, narrow bars.
One guy playing guitar, and we're just sitting there listening to him.
And he did
find out he's from Canton, Michigan.
He did play an original, and the best song I heard that night was an original.
I got to get my battery laptop.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he cracked up when he heard where we were from, Pontiac. But he played an original, the first original he'd done that night. And it was a great song. We looked him up afterwards. He's got a lot of really great material.
Oh, wow.
He's road warrior, he's down in there. He's trying to make a living on the road. Good luck.
Yeah.
And it was just a moment in time. We really, really liked his original, asked him to do it. He had a lot of fun playing. He called us up to the stage and said, who are you? No one after.
Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So,
She's in right now. Hold on.
Oh, sure.
You can just keep talking.
All right.
We're good.
Okay. She's gone. Do you want to talk?
Well, I was curious, when you do have time to listen to music, what's the preferred method for you? Do you prefer old school vinyl stuff, or is it more just headset and listen to?
It goes all over the place, and headset too. If I had to give you, I like a lot of Canadian music lately. Stuff I hear.
So we listen in the car.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, and WD.
And their production goes from more reverb than I could ever tolerate, and that sounds good.
Yeah.
To very minimalist stuff, but they're kind of in a certain era of their own right now, and the songwriting, the young talent is just incredible. I mean, it's more innovative. And they will proverbial. I heard 2 notes. I can guess the whole song.
Yeah.
They're all over the place and very, very creative. I tend to go. And what's the station I listen to?
Well, we really like this Canadian station.
Yeah.
And you won't hear anything here of their work, really. It's Canadian. It's 89.9.
89.9. I guess
think
that's
it's Canadian, and you just hear different.
Hope you didn't get it wrong.
From indigenous music to
Yeah.
everything.
Wow.
It's a great station.
But it's
classical during the day, and then the evening
it just goes someplace else. Our radio doesn't go anyplace else ever anymore in America, it seems like.
No.
Even when they're trying to. And this stuff is really different and really inclusive and all over the place.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. So besides those 2 shows you got coming up, anything coming up, because this podcast will come out in a couple weeks. So
we're at local place, Caju Cafe.
We're Trinity House on January 20th. We're Caju Cafe in April. We are
Crystal Cafe in Ann Arbor.
Crystal Cafe.
Oh, cool.
In
GW Stanton, a great venue.
Oh,
that's June. Yeah, we changed it to June.
Then when we're playing at the Gazebo in Ferndale.
Oh, that's right. Is that July?
I don't remember. Our gigs are on our website, thedirkkrollband.com. That's the best place to find our shows. We're continuing to book at different venues. Dave Roof might do another Riverside. I know he's trying to grow that a bit.
Yeah.
In the area, and we might be a part of that as well. We're looking forward to that.
I think so. I think these wants to get some different people there, and I'm rooting for that.
And that's fine. But
although you heard us there, and I'm glad you did.
We really have been well received in the Ann Arbor area.
We would like to get more in that direction. The person that you said that Manchester.
Yes. Yeah, I'll message you guys, but his name's Steve Gerbach. I'll get you guys in touch with him and John Mooningham. They're the kind of primary guys running that. There's a crew of them. There's Jason. They've got a guy named Berkeley who runs sound at the Arc, and they're very those guys are great. So I'll get you in touch with them.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you.
That.
Yeah.
We've performed at Zuzu's Coffee House, actually.
Oh, Zuzu's, I forgot all about. Yeah.
But I don't know if they're live music anymore.
And you know what else? Do you guys have you ever heard of Chelsea Sound and Sights?
No.
I just heard of that recently.
Yeah, I know so I'll send you that contact info as well, because they're looking to book bands for this coming summer. And you guys would be great.
Conversation about Zuzu's, and somebody mentioned them.
Yeah, for sure. That would be a great venue. They've got multiple stages set up, every Thursday, and then they have I think I'm not sure what they're doing with they have at the end of July, they have like a 2-day tent festival, but every Thursday through the summer they're doing.
Now that's become a hot night, Thursdays.
Yeah.
A lot of venues.
Cool.
It's really nice. Neat.
Yeah. Ann Arbor does it too. They close down Main Street and do music. I think Dexter does it, but the one in Chelsea is fantastic. Like, I think 10 stages.
Wow,
wonderful.
big time, big doings.
Yeah. So, I think you guys would be great over there too. Well, you'd be great anywhere, really.
Hey, great.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks. Appreciate
it.
Well,
the whole thing about Thursdays is that other musicians might have a better opportunity of seeing other musicians because they may not be gigging on the weekends.
That's right.
Thursday, sometimes you'll get some musicians.
Yeah, I'm glad you happened to see us at the Riverfest.
It was
an interview, and you have to describe more than we can. I guess I put it like that.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you both so much for being on Fans with Bands.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, I've got one last question for you. Actually, 2 questions, since it's sort of the holiday season. So, first one is, pineapple or no pineapple on pizza?
No.
Yes.
No. Wrong.
It's adulterated the pizza completely, and if people don't like it, a lot of people don't. I like pineapple on pizza.
Pina colada.
I come from California. I'm sorry. an avocado tree in our backyard.
Look at this trouble you.
That's right.
Great question. How about you?
I am with Marcy in that pineapple should just stay. It's a fruit, should be on its own thing, and pizza should not. Because I'm not really a sweet and savory person. And that's what that is, right? So if you have pineapple, it's sweet and savory, and I'm like, I like savory and I like sweet, but they need to be on their own separate plates,
See, like I don't eat ham. I never eat ham, but I had ham and pineapple pizza, and I really like
it. Well, there you go.
All right.
Yeah. And the other question I have for you, since it's the holiday season, we just had Christmas, and do you consider Die Hard, is it a Christmas movie or not?
So much about that.
I've seen it.
They're saying Die Hard. People watch Die Hard during Christmas break, but it's not a Christmas movie.
Wow, it happens.
But it's what you watch. It's a thing.
I've stabbed somebody in the eye with an icicle or something. Yeah, not really.
So I'm taking that as a no. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
No.
It's not. No.
All right. Awesome.
Those are a great question.
Well, thanks again so much for being on Fans with Bands.
Oh, it's great talking with you. Now we'll see you sometime in person. I can't wait.
Great. Sounds good.
Have a good night. Thank
you.
Sure.
Bye. Many thanks to Dirk and Marcy for joining me on this episode of Fans with Bands. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with them about the Dirk Kroll Band and the fantastic music that they make. Dirk and Marcy are super people, and it was a treat to hear the stories behind the music, as well as learn about their pathways into the music world. Be sure to check out the latest Dirk Kroll Band record called Your Flight. It is a great album of rock music that is diverse, lush, and captivating. See the show notes for all the details and links. Bands are nothing without you, the fans. Purchasing music and merchandise is critical to their survival. If you can help out your favorite bands, please do. If you're in Michigan, consider following the Playing in Detroit Area Tonight and SE for Southeast Michigan Music Facebook pages. They are fantastic places for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show, telling your friends, telling your neighbors, telling your family, telling your priest, tell everyone, and leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jam.